Love is our true divine nature, and our heart serves as the intersection of the spiritual and physical, connecting our soul with our body as the conduit for anchoring our divinity onto the earth plane. Embodying our divinity is the key to our ascension and to manifesting our highest destiny in this life. The teachings of the heart are alchemy. Join spiritual mentor and channel Jennifer Spohr each week on a sacred journey to lift the veil to remembering your divinity and meet other beautiful souls who are living the path of the awakened heart. Hey everyone, I am really excited to welcome as a guest to the show today, Natalia Komis. She has served as an intuitive business mentor and soul channel and activator for conscious leaders since 2012. She is an elemental healer, serial entrepreneur, and artist channeling divine creative light for the ascension of the new earth. Beautiful. Welcome, Natalia.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you and to have this conversation. I can already feel that the energy is very buzzy around our conversation.
Yeah,
Yes,
exciting.
so yummy. Anyway, I would love for you to share with us more about the work that you do.
Yeah, I would love to. Where to begin?
Take your pick.
Uh, well, the last few years, first of all, I'll prefix this with saying that over, the last 10 years, I've done lots of different things. I would say I'm very much a multi-passionate soul. I've started several businesses. I've helped many others set up businesses. I've worked all around the world, running social enterprises, working with individuals, working on art projects and creating huge events, working with Buddhist nuns in Nepal and doing all sorts of amazing things on Everest and loads of cool projects. But everything that I've ever done has had this golden thread that has been around activating people to be fully self-expressed and also about supporting individuals and the world to reconnect to something deeper and something bigger than ourselves. And I am so grateful for all of the different things that I've done, especially because they've all been very different. And everything has given me a different perspective um, and connections to amazing people around the world. Now, one of the things that when I first started doing a lot of traveling and working on projects, back when I was literally, I don't know, 19, when I first traveled to India, what I didn't quite realize before that trip was how much I was guided to places by spirit. And when I got there, I very quickly realized that there was more to why I was there. And that has ended up be very much being part of my mission in this lifetime, to follow the call to wherever I'm guided, because there's always a bigger reason to it. And one of those reasons has always been about clearing energy, about bringing in new energy, new light into spaces, and creating safe spaces. Now, that is something that I very much do in my work now on a conscious level, and why I love creating my programs and the spaces that I create for my clients, because it is something that I've naturally done throughout my whole life, even as a child. But now I'm able to truly understand it, to truly support others in this space. So, the way that I do that and what we do in these spaces evolves and shifts and changes depending on what is necessary. My two main containers are my Conscious Business Design Mastermind and the Temple Journey program. And they're both quite different, but they both have this underlying foundation, which is working with the elements. And that is something that I stepped much deeper into in 2019 when I was working with the wonderful Callista and George Lizos on the Elemental Healing Practitioner course. And it really ignited something in me that was always there from when I was a very young child, living in Greece, running off into the fields, talking to the trees and connecting with the earth. And so through the work that I did in 2019, early 2019, I reactivated something that was in me, and it inspired me so much. And it allowed me to create my elemental business philosophy, which is what I teach in the mastermind and support conscious entrepreneurs to create their businesses from a place of soul using the elemental business framework. And it also ended up coming through when I channeled the Temple Journey program. Now, that both programs really ended up coming through me as I began a massive rebirth. And that rebirth began once I allowed myself to fully step into my spiritual purpose, fully step into my soul mission in a way that allowed others to see who I really was. And it's so funny, isn't it? Because that's something that I've done for others my whole life. And yet it took me all that time to allow myself to fully do it. And even now, I'm still stepping up. I'm still constantly expanding and showing up in different ways in my truth. And I think we're all doing that, especially at the moment, as we are learning, as we are growing, as we are, our energy is shifting because of everything that's going on in the world. And so once I started to truly step into that, I went through this huge initiation, one of the biggest or the biggest initiation of my life. And it went on for nearly 3 years. And in that time, I channeled the Temple Journey program, which supported me through my rebirth and massive healing and darkness. And it was work. And the Temple Journey program itself is a 5-part initiation into the sacred temples of ascension. Now, these are temples that are coming into our awareness at the moment on the earth plane, and that are supported by the goddesses, by the Elohim dragons, by the earth herself. And as we become initiated and activated into each temple and into each energy, that is energy frequency in those temples, we open up and heal a new part of ourselves. And the more that we do that, the more self-expressive we become, the more in our power we step into, the more we allow the world to see who we truly are, and the more we actually understand what it is that we're doing here and allow ourselves to do that. Now, going back to what I was saying right at the beginning about sacred spaces and clearing energy and safe spaces, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and something that I didn't really realize at the beginning when I first started initiating people into the Temple Journey. I didn't quite understand the level that or what it entailed completely, right? And it was only until I did the second round of that, and I felt like I had to teach a new module, which was about supporting those who had done the Temple Journey, become temple initiates and fully understand how to harness that, did I realize, hold on a minute, this is exactly what I've been doing my whole life. And now these are spaces, each of these temples are these safe, sacred spaces that we can be going into to support us, to protect us, but also we're being asked to bring those spaces and that energy into the earth now to support others through their own rebirth, through their own expansion, through their initiation in this path, because we're moving into a huge shift on our planet now, into a new age. And, you know, there's very many ways that it can go. And it is up to us to decide what way we are going to go within that. So that's a long answer.
No, that's totally fine. I love it's just so beautifully articulated. So thank you for that. I'd love to go back to what you said earlier about allowing, as that is something that a lot of people in their human experience are challenged with, right? So there's a difference between um, intellectually understanding, you know, what you are being guided to allow, and then actually embodying that. I'd love for you to share any advice and insights for the listeners about um, how to how to I'm going to say allow that, no pun intended, you know, with more ease and grace. And also, you know, what was the catalyst for you to make that shift?
Yeah, and it's a really important awareness to have when I feel like we can do all of the studying and the learning and the reading and, you know, again, being in the intellect, being in the logic brain, but we never fully understand and embody until we experience. And when we experience, that is the allowing. Now, if we look at it from a place of our emotions, and I find this is one of the easiest ways to come into this and explain it, because we all know what emotions are. When we allow our emotions, we speak to our emotional being. We speak and listen to our authentic being, right? So when people talk about intuition and soul and authenticity, at the very base level, at the most basic level of this, you're talking about your emotional being. And so when we listen and allow our emotions to come through, we're listening and allowing to our true self. What has happened over the years is we've been taught not to do that. We've been taught that it's not safe to do that, or that we're weak if we do that. And in many cultures, in many societies, emotions don't pay the bills. Emotions don't serve us in the way that we need to live our lives here, because we don't have time for that. But the truth is, when we allow and we surrender to actually just living our lives through the lens of I'm emotionally self-aware and I'm listening to our emotions, we are able to listen to our physical bodies and understanding when our body is telling us, hey, you need to stop pushing, you need to stop putting others first, you need to actually have a rest, you need to not say yes to that thing that you don't want to be doing. We are then allowing ourselves to be our true selves, and we are stepping into speaking our truth, being authentic, and owning who we truly are. And that is the simplest way that I can describe it. And for me, what happened was I got really ill. In fact, for years, I ended up being in natural disasters, in very difficult situations. I would have accident after accident after accident to force me to stop because I was not allowing and I was not listening. And it took me to go deep, deep, deep into darkness and in a huge symptom state. And I say symptom state instead of being ill because I feel that the less that we can label something, the better, right? And when I was in this symptom state for 2.5 years, let's say, there were times where I couldn't walk. I had severe chronic fatigue. I had fibromyalgia. I had IBS. I was depressed. I had anxiety. You can like all the different things that people name and label. But the reality was I'd stopped listening and allowing for the healing. And the second that I truly surrendered and took responsibility for that surrender and for the healing to take place, that's when everything shifted. And I think right at the beginning of all of that, I naively thought I was doing that. I naively thought, okay, I'm starting my healing journey now. I'm going to do some things. I'm going to go reflexology. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to talk to the shaman. I'm going to, heal myself. And I did, right? That is exactly what started to happen. That was the catalyst. But I was super naive in thinking that how that may go. And I was yet to fully surrender. I was yet to fully allow what needed to happen and what the role that I needed to play in that process was. And if someone had told me what would play out, there's no way I'd have started that process. I would not have wanted to allow it. So sometimes going into the unknown slightly naively is what is necessary for it to happen, right? But yeah, that's the easiest way that I can describe that right now.
No, I love that, what you said, especially about allowing those emotions to come forward. Even it's a reality today in our world. Even communities that are more, or spaces that are more spiritually influenced, let's just say, still, talk all the talk, right? About allowing your true self to be seen and feeling in a safe space. But the percentage of people that are actually embodying that is much less, right? There is still a fear of, if you allow all of yourself to come forward, right? Not just the light side, but the shadow side too, that you're not going to be accepted, or like you're not spiritual enough.
Definitely. And I think there's a lot of, let's say spiritual bypassing in a way around that. And, I recognize now that there's a huge part of us that has to go into the darkness. We have to actually fully surrender to the shadows in order to understand them, in order to then be able to heal them. And this is something that really came through when I was putting the Temple Journey program together. One of the lessons is from Inanna, and Inanna, the goddess Inanna, goes deep, deep into the underworld. She has to pass through the gates, and every time she passes through a gate, she has to let go of a part of her, let go of possession, let go of something that represents something to her, and until she's completely naked, and she ends up basically being strung up in the underworld for however long, until she goes through initiation process and is able to come back. And I think that's such an interesting representation of how we have to be. It's a acceptance of everything that we need to let go of, and all of the gates and the shadows and the levels of darkness, or levels of challenge that we have to move through in order to fully see and accept ourselves, and then come out the other side and back into the light. And something that we're so scared of in this society is the dark. We're so scared of the dark. We're scared of darkness. We're scared of the shadows, of what that would mean if we fully go into that. Is that evil? Is that a bad thing? Do we become some scary monster, or do we meet some scary monster on that journey? And the truth is, no matter how many monsters or demons you meet, they're all going to be a part of you in some way. They're all a part of your journey. They're a part of you, a part of your shadows, and a lesson that you are here to learn. And I don't believe that, well, let's put it this way. I believe that everything that we meet in this lifetime, we have decided ourselves that we are here to meet that, in order for us to grow and expand and learn. Now, that's not to say these things aren't difficult and they're not challenging. It's certainly not to bypass the darkness that many of us do face, or to say that it's not difficult, because it blooming well is. It's one of the most, if not the most difficult thing that we can face in this lifetime. And for some people, that will seem much more difficult than others. And that is the path that we have chosen. But yeah, I do think that there's this idea that, you can just manifest your way to success. If you pray and do the vision boards and do your journaling. And by the way, I love doing all of those things. But I don't think all of those are the only things. And I certainly believe that the more that we can accept and heal our shadows and face our darkness, that is when those things truly become powerful tools to support you in living your soul mission in this lifetime.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons it's so important to invest in support for yourself, on your journey. Whether that's a coach or a mentor or a healer, because it's important to be able to be held in that space, right? Of being able to allow everything to truly come forward, to be transmuted. I bring this up just now because still so much of the teachings that are out there, right? I'm not comparing or anything, just saying, like, when you brought up manifesting, I thought about it. So many people, even in manifesting, the setting the intention, the affirmations, even the vision boards, are done more from a mental space and not from the heart space.
Oh my goodness, 100%.
And part of the heart is the center of everything, and part of the awakening of the heart, right, is moving through the shadow side, that darkness part of ourselves. And there's still just, it's not streamlined today. There's more, right, of more people out there such as yourselves that are stepping forward. But yeah, anyways, what I said think might not have all been in chronological order, but I was thinking when you brought up the manifesting, I was just like, even the steps taken to heal, or I don't know, it's all still done very much from a mental space.
Yeah, and I think, the more things become mass consumption, like, at the moment, there's a lot of talk around the spiritual scene. It's becoming a lot more mainstream. Certainly there's trends around manifestation and human design and astrology. For sure there's a lot of people that don't even know what they're talking about. Right, that's just the online space in general, I think. And when that happens, it's well, first of all, that's normal as soon as something becomes more mainstream. And it is also not a bad thing, because the each one of these situations and experiences and people is allowing somebody else to step forwards, to wake up in some way, to become to get closer to who they truly are. So I'm not putting a downer on any of that, but I do think that there's how shall I say this? It depends on why people are doing it. And if you are doing it from a place of love and giving, and truly finding pleasure in doing it and it lighting your soul up, then there will always be a level of bringing the heart space into it. If you're doing it because it's cool and it's the new trend and you think it's the best way for you to make money, then yes, of course, it's going to be coming from a place of that rational, mental, wounded masculine level, because you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
You might think you're enjoying it.
So important, everything that you're saying. And I believe in I also work with clients and other people too, and doing healing work. And I believe that all of that, really being clear and honest with yourself as to what your deeper motives are and the why behind behind how you do everything, goes back to having a clear sense of self. And when you have a clear sense of self and your purpose and all of that, then making decisions around how you want to show up in business and in life just becomes a lot simpler, because it's either a clear yes or a clear no. It's not I don't
know. Yes, for sure. And this comes down to why do you want to mentor? Why do you want to work with someone else? Is it because you don't trust your own judgment? Why do we ask for everyone else's opinion but our own? And when we are struggling with receiving insights, and when we're struggling to make decisions, is it because you don't truly know yourself? And one of the things that I absolutely love it when people start working with me, because they don't need me anymore. Like, it is literally my goal. That is exactly what I want to see.
Absolutely. Mine too. It is mine too. Absolutely. And there is a time, there is a season for you, for each of us, right, to go within and to be without support, for a period of time. It is important to understand the difference between it being a season for you to go within and a season of, reaching out for support, right? There is, and again, that goes back to what you said about having the willingness to go within, to be honest with yourself about the motive behind your decisions, right? So, like you said, is reaching out for support because you're looking externally for the solution.
Yeah, and almost to validate what it is that your idea or your opinions or what you're doing. And whenever my clients ask me for advice on something, I'm always saying, well, what do you think? Like, it's not about what I think.
Yeah.
And even though I'm technically their mentor and I am here to explain that in a way, but never before they are able to reflect and journey through that themselves. Because I feel that it's so easy to take on other people's opinions, advice, choices, decisions. That's the easy way.
Well, you're holding space for them.
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly.
Holding space for them to bring forward that remembrance, because all of the answers are already within us.
Yeah, exactly. And lots of people resist that. There's so many people in our society, even now, who resist the knowledge that they hold and that they have, because as soon as you tap into that power that you have, then it's almost like you are accepting that it's there, and therefore you're accepting your soul mission. And that can be really scary for some people who don't feel ready, and who don't want to have to deal with what they're here to do. They'd rather pretend and follow the easy route. And the easy route's generally not even that easy.
No, it's just that it's more about it being the known route, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to unlearn. I've always remember this. I work a lot with Mary Magdalene, and she referred to this once as the veil of forgetfulness. You know,
Yes.
um, there's a lot to unlearn, and it's really more about it being known and how we are taught to actually fear change when that is in fact an inversion of
Yeah.
how we were created, right? We're actually created to embrace change.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other episode about societal programming and the matrix and all of that good stuff. But
Well, I mean, that's the biggest rebellion,
it
right?
really
Trusting
is. Yeah.
yourself and taking
Yes.
action on that truth.
Yes.
That is being the true rebel of our lifetime. And that is what Mary Magdalene is
Yeah.
and was.
Yes, absolutely. Natalia, in closing, what else are you feeling guided to bring forward at this time?
Ooh. I just wrote a post about this today, and that I feel like I've not really been working the last few months. And even though, I've been showing up for clients and I've been doing certain things, I've definitely taken a massive step back. And often when I do this, we all have our seasons, of course, but often when I take such a step back and I'm questioning and I'm reflecting and evaluating everything, it's because there's a big shift going on, not only collectively but also in my own personal story and energy. And one of the big themes that has been coming up this summer has been, well, the summer that's just been, we're already out of it, co-creation. So it's been co-creation, but also closing doors, right? And closing doors on a personal level in a lot of the healing that has been taking place for me lately over the last few years as I've come through my rebirth. And then co-creation in this knowledge that, you know what? I don't want to keep doing things on my own anymore. I feel like I've been on this quite lonely path for years, even though, of course, I've had my own teachers and my own team and soul sisters and my clients, partners and all of that kind of stuff. We're never fully alone, of course. But there's been this real longingness for more of a soul tribe, more co-creation, more togetherness, more bringing our energies together. And so one of the things that I'm really looking at now is I don't want to do as much online work as I used to. And I really want to do more in-person stuff, especially after the couple of years that we've had lately. And I really want to do that with others, and I want to co-create and for what's coming. So I am working on, in fact, I haven't actually announced this yet, so maybe I'll announce it here. On a new higher level mastermind that is specifically focused around retreats and co-creation and bringing people together to collectively shift the energies, and that's going to be the co-ascension mastermind. And so I'm really excited about that because it's something that I've really wanted for myself, right? And I think this is what is very important at the moment. You know, those of us who are leaders in this field, what is it that we're missing? What is something that would truly actually fill any void that is there? And how can we do that with our peers? How can we bring that to others? Because if we're missing it, then for sure others are as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
Absolutely. Natalia, if someone wants to, we'll have all of your information in the show notes. If someone wants to connect with you directly, where is the best place for them to go?
Yeah, one of the best places is my Instagram, which is simply at Natalia Komis, or have a look on my website, nataliakomis.com. I have a few different free classes and activations that you can be doing to support you on this journey. Especially if you're interested in healing your own inner temples or connecting with the elements or any of that kind of stuff, do go and check out my my links and all the free stuff that I offer. I really want as many people to just harness and use that as much as possible. And I love chatting to you, so do pop me a message if you are interested in talking to me.
Amazing. Natalia, thank you so much for taking the time to connect today. Truly an honor to have this space with you.
Thank you. I'm super grateful. It's been such a beautiful talk with you, Jennifer. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Path of the Awakened Heart. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or pathoftheawakenedheart.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about living with an awakened heart and navigating your ascension journey, visit me at jenniferspore.com.